The dash where the supply and demand curves cross. You chose equilibrium point, and it is correct.
Which market structure does game theory apply to?
Well done. Oligopoly is the right choice.
Reduced or removes government control of business.
You're right. Deregulation is the correct answer.
One business is in complete control of the market.
Nice selection. Monopoly is the correct and valid answer.
Collusion cartels occur in this market structure.
You got it? Your choice, oligopoly, is right.
This is a market dominated by a few large sellers.
Sharp thinking. Oligopoly is the right choice.
Which market structure has no control over price?
Strong choice. Perfect competition is the right answer.
Coke and Pepsi are part of what market structure?
Great job. Oligopoly is the accurate answer.
What is the main feature of an oligopoly market?
Valid point. Few large firms dominating the market is true.
Firms face competition when they produce a good.
Excellent choice. That has a close substitute is the right answer.
What is regarded as the ideal market structure?
Smart pick. Perfect competition is the correct choice.
The broccoli market would be an example of dash.
Great thinking. Perfect competition is the right choice.
What is the market structure of Pepsi and Coke?
Well reasoned. Oligopoly is the correct choice.
This market has the largest number of sellers. Correct response. Perfect competition is the most accurate answer, which is not a characteristic of an oligopoly.
Excellent. Many sellers, few buyers is a brilliant choice.
The sellers in which market are price makers?
On track. Monopoly is the correct answer.
This may be the closest to perfect competition.
Nicely done. Local farmers market is a solid answer.
In a monopoly market, the seller faces no dash.
Smart move. Competition is an accurate answer.
Which type of economy did Adam Smith promote?
Good job. Your answer market works well here.
The market which offers a homogeneous product.
Clear logic. Your choice perfect competition is sound and 100% true.
Which market structure has only one producer?
Exactly. Monopoly makes sense, and it is right choice.
When P equal Tom equal Tor, what market structure is this?
Perfect. Perfect competition is the correct choice.
Why does the government regulate the market?
Nice work. You chose to ensure competition, and it is correct.
This type of market is the easiest to enter.
Well picked. Perfect competition is the correct answer.
A producer's demand for labor is called dash.
Correct. Derived demand is the right answer.
What is an extreme case of market structure?
Bravo. Monopoly is the answer.
Which one is one of the four market structures?
Solid response.
Monopolistic competition is a valid choice.
A market in which a single seller dominates.
Right choice. Monopoly is the best answer.
In this market, there is no entry possible.
Right again. Monopoly is a valid answer.
What is an example of an oligopoly market?
Good thinking. Smartphone industry is the right answer. Based on your notes, how many markets exist? You chose 4, and it is correct. There are dash types of market structures. Bravo. Different is the answer.
Which market offers perfect substitution?
On track. Perfect competition is the correct answer. The farmer's market is an example of dash. Nice selection. A purely perfectly competitive market is the correct and valid answer. An oligopoly is a market structure in which? Solid response. A small number of companies dominate a market is a valid choice. The market most rarely seen in the world. Nicely done. Perfect competition is a solid answer.
A monopoly created by the administration.
Perfect. Government monopoly is the correct choice. A market structure with a few large firms. Well done. Oligopoly is the right choice. The most competitive market structure is. Valid point. Perfect competition is true. What are the types of market structures? Good job. Your answer perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly works well here.
Who is the supplier in the labor market?
Nice work. You chose workers, and it is correct. Who is the demander is the labor market? Well picked. Companies is the correct answer. A competitive market is characterized by. Great job. A large number of sellers and buyers is the accurate answer.
What is not part of perfect competition?
Good thinking. Sellers cannot enter exit market easily is the right answer. Market has many sellers and fair prices. Strong choice. Perfect competition is the right answer. It is the most ideal market structure. Correct. Perfect competition is the right answer. In which market is entry the easiest? Great thinking. Perfect competition is the right choice.
This market has no control over price.
You're right. Perfect competition is the correct answer. The causes of market failure include. You got it? Your choice inadequate competition, inadequate information, and externalities is right.
A monopoly's prices are determined by.
Correct response. The monopoly is the most accurate answer.
There are few sellers in this market.
Sharp thinking. Oligopoly is the right choice. What is a monopoly market structure? Right choice. Single seller selling a unique product is the best answer.
Market dominated by a single seller.
Excellent choice. Monopoly is the right answer. Which best describes a public good? Smart move. A good provided by the government is an accurate answer. Which is the ideal market structure? Excellent. Perfect competition is a brilliant choice.
Public utilities are an example of
Smart pick. Natural monopoly is the correct choice.
unions influence the labor market. Clear logic. Your choice, by pushing wages above equilibrium, is sound and 100% true. What is monopolistic competition? Well reasoned. When several companies sell similar products, is the correct choice. Which statement is most accurate? Exactly. Markets can sometimes fail makes sense, and it is right choice. Few sellers dominate this market. Right again. Oligopoly is a valid answer. Which market has no competition? Right choice. Monopoly is the best answer. The ease of entry and exit means smart move. Ease of entry and exit from the market is an accurate answer. Oligopoly is a market which has sharp thinking. Few large firms is the right choice. Government regulations exist too. Perfect. Protect consumers from negative externalities is the correct choice. An oligopoly is when there are. Well done. Few producers who control the market is the right choice. At market equilibrium there is. Correct response. The same amount of supply and demand is the most accurate answer. Benefit of perfect competition. Excellent. Both is a brilliant choice. The four market structures are right again. Perfect competition. Monopoly, monopolistic competition. Oligopoly is a valid answer. Perfect competition involves on track. A large number of buyers and sellers is the correct answer. What is perfect competition? Valid point. When many suppliers produce the same goods is true. A monopoly is a market with. Nicely done. One supplier is a solid answer. A single seller in a market. Monopoly is the answer. McDonald's is in what market? You chose monopolistic competition, and it is correct. Impossible to enter market. Good thinking. Monopoly is the right answer. Differentiation is dash. Good job. Your answer small differences that make your product unique works well here. What is a price taker? Clear logic. Your choice, a firm that cannot influence the market price, is sound and 100% true. Ideal market structure? Solid response. Perfect competition is a valid choice. A barrier to entry is. You got it. Your choice, anything that prevents new firms from entering the market, is right. Duopoly is a type of. Exactly. Oligopoly market makes sense and it is right choice. What is a monopoly? You're right. When there is only one major supplier is the correct answer. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format? Correct. Contact Narayan Changda is the right answer.